The Mayor and City Council welcome you to the Peoria City Council meeting. As a courtesy to others, please silence all phones. If you would like to address an issue that is on the agenda, or if you would like to speak to the Council regarding a non-agenda item, please complete a speaker request form, which can be found in the front lobby of the Peoria City Council chambers or in the tray to the left of the speaker's podium. Please place the completed speaker request form in the second tray to the left of the speaker's podium labeled Request to Speak. All speakers will have 3 minutes to complete their comments. A countdown clock is easily visible on the left side of the wall behind the City Council dais. Only items listed on the agenda may be addressed by the Council. Since items presented as part of a speaker's request have not been listed on the agenda, and due to the requirements of open meeting laws, the Council will be unable to respond to items presented as part of the speaker's request. However, please be aware that your comments will be noted. The speaker's name will be called to speak at the appropriate time, in the order that the forms were received. Thank you for your interest and participation in the Peoria City Council meeting.
Peoria City Council meeting will now come to order. Please rise for a moment of quiet reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Hunt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Mayor Carlett.
Here.
Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Here.
Councilmember Patena.
Here.
Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Finn.
Here.
Councilmember Hunt.
Here.
And Councilmember Leone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Peoria City Council meeting of June 21st, 2016. We will now begin with the first of 3 presentations. The first one is the Certificates of Completion for the 2016 Peoria Leadership Institute graduates. And I am going to be joined down in the front by Julie Ayers. So we are going to tag team here a little bit. Julie is going to read your name, and if you would kindly come on down here, we are going to get our photo taken.
First, we have John Case.
John Case. All right, no hurry.
And then Jen would like to take it.
All right, congratulations.
Josh Champion. Irene Charles. Pamela Ann Crow. Pamela Ann Crow. Brian Derrick. Aaron Frank. Jennifer Faustino. Susan Gaba. We'll also put the video up there. Don Gainzer. And Ken Ganser. Cody Gleason. Linda Grice. Daniel Haskins. Lynn Hooker. Kendra Hutchinson. Mac McEwen. Leslie McMorrow. Barbara McMurray. Rosemarie Mission. Angela Murray. John Saxtetter. And Sharon Saxtetter, if you want to just come on up. And here's Sharon. Patrick Sells. Zachary Stringer. Tony Van Gothen. Ellen Wagner. And then we have our three of our MPA students here with us this evening. Dominic DiCono. Kristen Ayers. My daughter. And Dorian Sanchez Ruiz.
Appreciate your involvement. So we have a second presentation. Are we doing it from the podium? All right. This is our fire chief, Bobby Reese.
Mayor, council, city manager, yes, we have three awardees tonight that we're presenting with the life-saving award, and there were two different incidents. So I'm going to go ahead and call three of them up. All three of them are from Public Works Department. Gilbert Romero, Art Vasquez, and Robert Nix. And I'll go ahead and read the first one. I'd like to stand up here. I have to note that all three of these individuals went through a Eyes and Ears program through the Peoria Police Department about a year ago. And I have to give kudos to the police department that it works. The proof is in the pudding, and there's pudding here. So the first one, Gilbert Romero and Art Vasquez, the two of you are being recognized for your fast and calm action during a life-threatening emergency. On May 24th, 2016, the two of you were working on the 9300 block of West Vogel when you observed smoke pouring from a garage of a residence. One of you called 911 while the other went to the front door and immediately alerted the residents to get out of the house. Your quick response made a difference in the outcome of the situation that resulted in the saving of lives. For it is for these reasons that we present you with the Life-Saving Award. Thank you. The next one is for Robert Nix, also from the Public Works Department. You're being recognized for your actions during the evening of June 8, 2016. You came upon an accident at the Loop 101 in Union Hills Road. You stopped and became involved to help save a life. You broke the window of a burning vehicle to free the occupant and his dog. You continued to help by detouring traffic for everyone's safety until police and fire arrived at the scene. It is for your wholehearted attempt to save the person from a burning vehicle that we present you with a life-saving award.
have one more presentation. I do just want to say thank you so much. These are everyday heroes. These are people who go to work every day and they take care of the core services that all of our city residents enjoy. And by the way, they save a life here and there, you know, just because they can. Thank you so very, very much.
So as the mayor just mentioned, we have one more award, and the recipient is actually going to be surprised by this, which is hard to do for her. Tammy Shreve, would you come down? Certainly the council's well aware, and probably everybody watching, Tammy Shreve is one of the key members of my staff in the city manager's office, and she has been the lead staff person to two important citizen efforts over the last few months, the Quality of Life Committee and the Charter Review Committee. And staffing one significant citizens committee is challenging, but she has done two at once and done a phenomenal job and even helped get their awards. So we thought it was only fitting that we surprise her with an award. Mayor, would you?
Yes, I do just have to weigh in on this because both of these citizen committees were very close to my heart, and it was really, really important that they were organized and that everybody had a chance to participate and everyone was well represented, and we kept a record of all of it too. So Tammy was able to do all of that. She made it look effortless, and I know very, very well that it was not effortless at all. So I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. You did some tremendous work. All right, we are now going to move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes liquor licenses and other types of items that require a public hearing. If there is any member of the public present who wants to address a public hearing on the consent agenda, please complete a speaker request form and place it in the bin next to the speaker's podium. This item will be removed from the consent agenda and heard during the normal course of the regular agenda. Are there any members of the public who would like to address an item that is on the consent agenda? All right, I have no speaker request forms. Council, are there any items that you would like to have removed from consent? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Council, please vote. The consent agenda passes unanimously. We will now move on to new business. The next item is item 20R, property acquisition, 83rd Avenue and Mariners Way. Mr. Swenson?
Yes, the presentation on this item will be made by Scott White, our Development Services Director.
Good evening. The item before you tonight is council consideration of the acquisition of a property located in the southwest corner of 83rd Avenue and Mariners Way. The property is located in the P83 district, and for purposes of context, wanted to briefly go over this exhibit. What you see in the purple shading is the area that we are currently working on towards the creation of a Peoria Innovation Campus. What you then see immediately across the street there is a recent economic development project being the repurposing of the former Fox and Hound building into Modern Round, which has recently had its grand opening, as well as the repurposing of the former Dolce Spa building, which became an economic development project to bring in Huntington University. And in the red, what you see is the property of interest. This is the former Country Diesel building that has some significant and strategic importance, we feel, As we look at the Innovation Campus project that we're working on, as well as the 2 other projects that have are going forward in this area, we feel that the property of interest has some key frontage on 83rd Avenue and could be repurposed from a restaurant use into a use that would be more in line with our economic development implementation strategy, namely advanced industries. So what we are looking at more specifically in the next slide is a graphic depiction of the property in question. What we have is approximately a 10,000 square foot floor plate with an additional 2,000 square feet of space in the mezzanine. So a total consideration of approximately 12,000 square feet. And looking at reports from GPEC, the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, as to the types of users that we are looking at being information technology, software development companies, healthcare companies, and advanced business services, as well as business services. The square footage range of up to 12,000 square feet seems to be a good sweet spot for some of the startup and emerging companies that fit those advanced industries. So we're confident that we'll have the ability to repurpose this building, even though at this time we're looking at a land banking strategy for the acquisition of the property. The property has a shared parking agreement that provides approximately 2,000 parking spaces being shared among the existing businesses, including Harkins. That's how this portion of the entertainment district was built out, using a shared parking construct. And office use is consistent with the existing zoning. So we think that this could be a nice strategic property in light of all of the economic repurposing that has gone on around it, as well as what we're planning for the Innovation Campus directly across the street from it. The action before you would be to acquire the property at appraised value, which is $2.5 million plus 5%. So the additional 5% of fair market value is $125,000, plus the customary closing cost of $3,000 for a total acquisition consideration of $2.628 million. For some historical context, this property was purchased by the original property owner 11 years ago for over $5 million. The property owner representative, Mitch Rosen, is in the audience and available for questions if council has them. Otherwise, I'd be happy to try and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Council, questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Yes. Council member.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm in support of this project. I think what we're doing here, the P83 area has long since been something that we as a council have been working on to make it a destination space. And I think by doing this acquisition, this just puts us one step closer in doing so. We've had multiple restaurants going into that facility for years. I've been here 13, 14 years, and every single time it just seems like it's a turnover. And so we finally have the opportunity to kind of build our own future and really dictate what goes into this building. And by doing this, it just puts us one step closer. Along with the Innovation Center, I think this is just going to be a key building going forward. So again, I'm in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, do I have a motion?
A motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, the next item is 21R, fiscal year 2017 property tax levy.
Katie Gregory, our Deputy Director of Budget and Finance, will make the presentation on this item.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening, we are in our final step for the legal requirements associated with our budget process. Tonight's presentation is for the adoption of the property tax levy for fiscal year 2017. On June 7th, the city held public hearings for both the truth in taxation and the property taxes, and as required by state statute, we must wait at least 2 weeks from the public hearing before we can actually ask council to adopt the property tax levy. As a quick reminder, property taxes in Arizona are separated into two categories. The first is the primary tax levy, which is used to support general government purposes. The second is the other one is the secondary levy, which is used to pay debt service on general obligation bonds. And when you want to calculate the tax levy, the total city valuation is multiplied by the tax rate to determine the total levy. As discussed during the budget study sessions and the public hearing, the city does not propose any changes to our property tax rate for fiscal year 2017, maintaining a rate of $1.44 per $100 of assessed value, and this is based on a 19-cent primary tax rate and a $1.25 secondary tax rate. When we look at the overall levy, you can see that we expect to collect about $959,000 more than in fiscal year 2016, and of that, $126,000 is the increase in the primary tax levy, which of course last time we talked triggered the requirement for the truth in taxation hearing. The city's total property tax rate has remained the same for the past 8 years, and we do not, again, propose any changes in 2017. And when you compare that with an overall average residential tax bill, you can see that Peoria's share of the tax bill is roughly around 13%, with the county and special districts at 32% and the school districts at about 55%. So again, we held the property tax hearing. Today we're here to have council adopt the levy, which is the last step in our fiscal year 2017 budget process. With that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you. And I'm going to have to say it one more time because there is such a long process that we are required to have where we bring this forward so many times for public hearings. We are not increasing our property tax rate.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Council, are there any questions or comments? All right, then seeing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Council, please vote. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. And now we will move on to 22R, which is the fiscal year 2017 Streetlight and Maintenance Improvement District levies.
And Katie will give this presentation also.
All right, thank you once again. This evening, this item is presented regarding the adoption of the fiscal year 2017 levy for SLIDs and MIDs, as we call them. Each year, the city provides Maricopa County with the total cost of maintaining and operating residential streetlights within subdivisions. That includes the local and collector streets, as well as costs associated with residential retention basins that have been turned over to the city for maintenance. And these costs are then incorporated into the residential property tax bill, and it shows as a separate line on property tax bills. There are a total of 243 streetlight improvement districts included in the fiscal year 2017 levy, and this includes 15 newly activated districts. Again, as a growing community, as we bring residential development on, when they reach a certain point, 25% build out, they then become activated as an active SLID, and typically, that's when they enter into our tax rolls. And the levy really, for SLIDs, covers the cost of electricity, maintenance and replacement of residential streetlights, again on those residential and collector streets. There are 11 MIDs in fiscal year 2017's levy. This covers the cost of electricity, water, and the contract costs associated with maintaining retention basins that have been turned over to the city in residential subdivisions. Comparing our levy from fiscal year 2016 to 2017, we will be collecting approximately $22,000 more in total. The increases associated with the SLIDs is mainly from the addition of the 15 newly activated subdivisions, as well as a small increase in electrical costs related to some of those new subdivisions as well. And then a very small increase in water charges is what's driving the change in the mid levy. So those are the two primary cost drivers for increasing that. So tonight, you're asked to approve the ordinances that adopt the SLID and mid levies for fiscal year 2017, and I'm happy to answer any questions regarding these.
Thank you. Council, questions or comments? Ms. Gregory, this was already accounted for in our budget?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is just something we have to do, approve separately?
Yes, this is part of our annual budget process, and because it is a property tax, it goes on a property tax, it requires the council to adopt. It doesn't require truth in taxation, it just requires council adoption of the resolution and the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. All right, council, do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. We will now move on to call to the public for non-agenda items. If you wish to address the City Council, please complete a speaker request form and place it in the bin next to the podium there, and you're welcome to come and speak to us. I have received no speaker request forms, so we'll move on to reports from City Manager. Mr. Swenson?
Thank you, Mayor Carlett. Just one report under my section this evening, and that is from our acting communications director, Jen Stein.
We're really excited to share a glimpse of Channel 3's Good Morning Arizona's Field Trip Friday, that they took their entire show to Lake Pleasant on May 20th. And it was quite a production. It was actually the first time they ever went live, technically using all wireless mics and remote cameras. So it was a really huge success, not only for Channel 3, but also for us. About a year ago, we actually pitched the show when we found out about their special Field Trip Friday. And at that time, I was told they were only going to feature cities outside of the valley in an effort to showcase Arizona in different parts. But after a few follow-up conversations, they decided to take the entire show to Peoria, and we were the only city in the valley to have this opportunity. So at that point, we collaborated with both sides of the lake, the two marinas, as well as the county and multiple vendors to coordinate more than 41 live shots and 5 taped stories, which featured businesses in North Peoria. So it was, again, an amazing production. And then also, to come to find out, May is sweeps month, and that's where it's really competitive, and that's where they set their ad rates. And so they were neck and neck with Fox 10, their Arizona morning show, and actually they ended up winning May sweeps because of our show. So our morning in Peoria actually gave them enough points to secure the May book. So they're very gracious for that as well. So with that said, again, we're happy to share the video.
Tell me about, it's kind of interesting when you talk about Lake Pleasant, because there's a lot of entities that have to work in cooperation for this to advance, for it to continue to develop and be a desirable location for the community.
Right. So Maricopa County governs a lot of the area, especially enforcement around the edges, and the city of Peoria, this is inside our city limits. We have fire and medical here and a fire boat, and so we're in charge of making sure people are safe out here.
Just like that, we're up and ready for an amazing flight with incredible views.
So here we are, we're up pretty close to Lake Pleasant, just the south end of the dam. We're going to go up about 3,000 feet above the ground level, and then we'll let go of the plane that's towing us up here, and then we'll have some fun. Thermals can keep you up here for a long time, believe it or not.
All right,
We have Captain Greg Serrano now from Peoria Fire talking about life jackets. We have some kids here who are going to model life jackets for us. Obviously, you can't say enough how important those are, but I mean, it's the law as well.
April, you're right. The law is that anybody near the water under the age of 12 should have life jackets on. But aside from the law, it's just extremely important. We're getting too many drownings where life jackets just weren't involved, unfortunately.
Okay, so we have some kids here. What do you think that people need to know about life jackets? Sometimes they can be a little tough to put on.
They are. They're fairly easy to use. They clasp in the front. The Peoria Fire Medical Department, we have rescue swimmers. We do have paramedics. If we needed to come get you, we absolutely can, and we can start medical treatment. But having the life jacket on, that really is going to limit your exposure.
Okay. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Jen. What a great opportunity. It really showcases the beauty of our lake.
And that's all for my report this evening.
Okay, then we're going to move on to reports from City Council and start with Councilmember Patena.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the pleasure of giving the Memorial Day speech over at Westbrook Village. There was probably about 100 people in attendance. It was very, very humbling for me. We had a flag raising ceremony. We placed a wreath before the memorial that we have out there, and it was just a really very nice event. The mayor has placed me on the committee. I attend Luke Air Force Base, the Fighter Country Partnership Program, once every quarter, and this last meeting we signed a memorandum of understanding that there would be a continued cooperation agreement between the cities and Luke Air Force Base, and how we can work together to make Luke a better place and make it better for our cities as well. And the governor happened to be there, as well as the Secretary of the Air Force, and I got to sign the MOU, and it was a pretty exciting thing to do. Congratulations to the PLI grads. You know, we're all very busy people these days, and that's quite a commitment. 8 weeks, 3 hours, or excess of 3 hours every time you show up. And so congratulations to you. It's nice to see people that are interested in our city and want to understand a little bit more of how it works. So congratulations to all of you. I was to the ribbon cutting for Modern Round. It was quite an event. It's a really upscale place. If you want to go there and just eat, you can just eat. You can shoot the laser guns. But it definitely is very upscale, and I hope that each of you have an opportunity to go there. And my last comment is, please indulge me for a moment. I actually grew up in Northeast Ohio, Cleveland to be specific. And it's been 52 years since they've had their last championship in the sports ever. I happened to be in attendance of their last championship game, was in 1964. Jim Brown was their fullback for the Cleveland Browns, and he's over 80 years old now. And so I think you see that we've had quite a drought. So I want to give a shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers. If it takes 52 years for their next championship, I won't be around to give them that shout out. So congratulations to them. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, before I tell you what I've been doing, I want to put a shout out to, I noticed we have some scouts here in the audience, and I want to thank you folks for coming out. You know, it means so much for us as a council to see young individuals showing an interest in city government, and so I want to applaud you young gentlemen for coming out, and you know, you just need to get involved in your government, no matter if it's here in Peoria or wherever your life takes you, you have to get involved, and so that's my one message to you guys. Thank you. I attended the Modern Round opening. What a wonderful event. This is just one of the new venues that's going to be coming into that P83 district here within the next 6 to 8 months. And I just encourage everybody, if it's not Modern Round and it's there's a headquarters restaurant coming in, Huntington University is coming in there as well. So you're going to see you're seeing a lot of changes coming into the area. I just tell you to get out and take a look at it. Enjoy the area. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, welcome to the Scouts, not just for coming this evening, but for staying for the entire meeting. I also want to congratulate our graduates from the PLI program. Thank you so much again for doing your part in learning more about Peoria, what a great city it is, how it's run, and please stay connected, stay in touch with us. Let us know how we're doing and what else we can do to make it better. Congratulations, Tammy Shreve, if you're still here. Thank you for bringing those committees to life and leading the way in that effort. That's very, very important work for the future of our city. And our life-saving award recipients, 4 in one evening. That is unbelievable. Again, all of what goes into running a city. It's not about a 4-day work week or a 12-hour shift, a 48-hour shift. It's 24/7 in the way of commitment to our citizens, and we're in a great place, and it was really exemplified here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Finn?
Just a couple of comments. I also want to congratulate the PLI grads. That was a major commitment, as other council members have said. That's a lot of time to put in. I also want to thank staff for the amount of time that they put in to teach those, and the comments from the students there I thought was really interesting about kind of ad-libbing, not having a script, and really kind of putting your heart into it. And you saw a lot of pictures of the different people that dedicated their time to do that. I thought that was great. So thank you very much for doing that. Tammy, congratulations to you as well. And then I just want to, every now and again, it makes me pause to thank our public safety, and I want to do that again with our fire department, our police department. You look at the tragedy that happened in Orlando, and you just, I don't know, I just want to thank them for being out there every day and trying to keep us as safe as we possibly can be. There's a lot of hate in the world, and those are the guys that are, I say it every time, they're the guys that are running towards the trouble while we're all running away from it. So thank you very much for all that you do. And Bill, congratulations after, I didn't do the math, but 60-some years of admitting that you're a Cleveland fan. So that's awesome, because a week ago there weren't any. Thank you.
Councilmember Hunt?
Thank you, Mayor. What a fun time we have up here. I hope you all are enjoying this as much as we are. Well, again, congratulations to the PLI graduates. I was in the inaugural class about 15 or 16 years ago. Carlo and I were in the same class, and look where it got me. I was so motivated by being part of this city and seeing what all the different departments did and realizing how well organized. I mean, it's a smooth running machine, and whatever you saw there, it's true. It really is. It really is what you think it is. And again, part of that is due to our fire and our police, and I just really want to take my hat off to our police officers, who I think of them every day because I'm hot. I'm hot in my car, I'm hot and they have to wear all that stuff to keep safe, and every time they walk up to a car or get out of their own car, they probably need that because they could get shot. We live in really different times. I grew up with my mom saying the policeman is your friend. If you have a problem, find a police officer. And unfortunately, that's not always true today. So I really want to salute the cop on the street tonight. And then, of course, our eyes on the city. We should all be that, shouldn't we? We should all just be looking for people that we can help. Okay, a couple of my passions. One is Habitat for Humanity. We have almost 100, we're between 95 and 100, nobody can zoom in on the exact number, of Habitat homes in our city. Most of them are in my district and in Carlos' district. And I just over the last 2 weekends attended 3 housewarmings to 3 new families. I want to stress this is not a free house that they're getting. They have to really work hard for it. They have a mortgage. They put in 400 hours of in-kind work on their own home. And these are really well-deserved by the time they get their home. So welcome to our 3 new neighbors. These 3 are all right downtown here, Washington Street and Jefferson Street. And another passion of mine is kids. And 2 sets of kids, and I'll let Carlo talk about this too, because he and I both attended the Youth Citizens Police Academy, kind of a graduation ceremony a couple of weeks ago. And these are 7th and 8th graders who give up a week. Maybe their mothers push them out the door, I'm not really sure. I think that could be part of it. They don't necessarily want to grow up to be police officers, but what this does is it makes them see how the police officers work. It helps them to understand what the laws are and what's important about a curfew and bicycle safety and all the things that police officers, and this is a police program that is done. The other that I want to congratulate is Team Emphasis. This is a group of, well, it's led by Luisa Ponte, who is one of our police sergeants, and Will Roberts, who is a teacher at Peoria High School. They work with kids, and there are lots more. I'm only naming the 2 that I work with the most. There are lots more police officers and other citizens who work with these kids. They have a football team, or basketball. Basketball, okay, I get those 2 confused, sorry, Bill. But I really don't know what team you're talking about, if it's basketball or baseball or whatever.
How about football?
Football, maybe, okay. Anyway, they just had their year end. These are kids that are at risk, and they work with them in addition to their full-time jobs. They bring these kids along, they nurture them, they walk life with these kids, and this was a graduation ceremony 2 Saturday nights ago, and they had an award ceremony. So congratulations. And again, we were talking about volunteerism earlier. These are opportunities there for a lot of our city employees volunteer with something in the community on their own time after they've put in their 40-plus hour week. So I think we've all said it. We think we live in a great city, so good night.
Thank you. Councilmember Leone?
Yes, thank you. I just want to mention on Thursday, June the 9th, I attended the ribbon cutting at Martin Round to welcome it's exciting business to P83. This area is where if you want to learn how to shoot a gun, they're not real guns now, don't get excited. They're phony guns, but you go down there and practice, and I think you'll learn a lot about guns. Also on June 16, I attended a graduation of the Young Citizens Police Academy in Peoria, and I went to the both of them. I went to the one at, I believe was 9 o'clock, then I went to the one at 4:30. And at this police academy, it helps them to build up a good relationship with the police department, that they work with an officer of crime scene, set up especially for them. It also helps them to learn how to be a good witness, and you never know, they could become explorers, and a lot of these explorers become police officers. So I think it's a great thing for these kids to go, and I just want to remind you on Friday, don't forget the food trucks Friday at Pioneer Park from 6 to 10. They have great food. They get the splash pad, and they get tables there. They can sit down and eat. It's a great event, and they'll have it for the next few months. I did want to say that we have a lot of things going on in the city for teenagers and for senior citizens and for adults. So if you want to get involved and get involved in these events, you can call the police department, or to get involved with the police department, or you can call the city clerk's office, and they can head you in the right direction. I think it's great. We have a lot of entertainment going on in the city also. So if you get a chance, come down and get involved in the entertainment. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America.
Thank you. I think many of you have heard me say many, many times that we are in the process of building the second half of our city. And because of that fact, and it's so critical that we have citizen input, we had a citizen committee who convened starting in January of this year, and their job was to decide who we are going to be when we grow up. And they did a tremendous job of deliberating and coming up with projects that they felt were necessary for us to be the city, the quality city that we want to be as we build the second half and build our city out. The recommendations that they brought back to the City Council a few weeks ago had to do with enhancements to public safety, new and improved city parks, protection of our cultural ruins, and preservation of open spaces, which includes access and public recreation. They were also charged with finding a way to pay for those kinds of amenities, and so they brought back suggestions for how these things will be funded throughout the years also. So the council has been weighing their recommendations for this time, and all of us sitting up here take any kind of tax increase very, very seriously. It is not something that we ever would consider lightly. As a matter of fact, we have prided ourselves on providing quality services and keeping our taxes low for really the history of the city of Peoria. So I want to be very, very clear, this council will not consider a property tax increase. We will be convening on July 5th to discuss this subject in public, and that would include all of the projects that they have recommended to us, as well as the funding mechanisms and amounts of those funding mechanisms. So we will be talking about those at our next council meeting. That's a public meeting. We encourage people to come to that meeting and let us know how you feel about all of the projects. You can actually find out what those specific projects are and everything about the conversations that the Council Subcommittee for Quality of Life did during all of their many, many meetings for all those months. Go to the city's website, PeoriaAZ.gov, and you will be able to find all the minutes from their meetings there and all the information about everything that they did. So I just want to throw this out there that we are more than willing to have you come down here and speak to us, voice your opinion. We want to know what you have to say about this program. It's very exciting, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and there being no further business, we are adjourned. This is a public hearing, which I declare open. Is there anyone who would like to address this issue? All right, seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Board members, any questions?